Hi, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome you all to uh, our meeting with Mukesh. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this series that's starting today. Uh, and you've seen the subject of that, and so looking forward to this inquiry together with Mukesh ji. So Dana is going to say a few words introducing Mukesh.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Well, yeah. I just wanted to share that I recently stayed up in the Krishnamurti Center in Canada, where Mukesh was a resident sort of mentor for anybody that's doing personal studies up at Krishnamurti Center in Canada. It's how they have it laid out, but it was. I live in San Jose, California, but he was really my destination was to go where he was because in the past I've taken a few online group self-inquiry gatherings and he's just left an impression and I just wanted to share a little bit about that impression because I think Krishnamurti was said to be someone who you could feel their love in their presence. And that's the feeling I get with Mukesh. He's just very gentle, very kind, and very knowledgeable about Krishnamurti, and but doesn't sort of impose. Everybody's wherever they are, and he's sort of very, very open about just allowing people to kind of come to their own understanding. And so I wanted to share a little bit just about that experience of just being with somebody who's like truly like an open-hearted friend. And it's not personal. It's for all of us. It's like a friend to all. Someone who sees everyone as infinitely all, and you just get that from his presence. And he worked alongside Professor Krishna for 20 years in Krishnamurti Center in Varanasi. So he understands every bit of, what it is that we're on in this journey. And it's just so helpful to have somebody who's committed to it, not just committed to the task of revealing the truth to ourselves, but also just committed to each and every person. And so he does global retreats. He does retreats in Europe and India and Canada and online meetings, and so he's just really it's just a treat for us to have him. So I won't say more than that because I know we have we have a whole meeting to get to, but it's just really truly a pleasure to um, to have him with us. So thank you, Mukesh, for being here.
Thank you very much, Donna. So, sir, welcome, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Prasad and Donna, for inviting me to this online meeting organized by the Bay Area. I have heard a lot about these meetings, so it's a pleasure to join with you. So friends, we are here to explore the art of meditative dialogue. And this art of dialogue is also connected with the art of living. So a deep dialogue, a deep living with a sense of happiness, peace, they're all connected. And today we are going to explore one of the most essential aspect of this meditative dialogue or self-inquiry, and that is listening and seeing. One of the problems with humanity is that we are living our life dominated by thought and memories. as J. Krishnamurti always pointed out, how we are the prisoners of conditioning of so many years, thousands of years, conditioning of our whole past baggage. So our daily life is lived more or less in a mechanical way, in a reactive way. And the whole purpose of a deep self-inquiry is to shift from a mechanical, reactive living to a life which is non-reactive, which is a flowering in presence, if I can say, living with presence, living with attention. So this shift from non-reactivity to attention, that is the deep intention of self-inquiry or a dialogue. And though our whole mind or consciousness may be conditioned, but there are certain potentials hidden inside each one of us. And to awaken those potentials is perhaps the deeper intention of the teachings. And one of the potential is this deep listening. And this deep listening is like stepping out of our conditioned field. So this could be a tool to step out of our mechanical way of living. So what is this deep listening? Let us explore it together as friends. How do we listen? How are we listening now? Can we pay attention to this? What is the quality of listening here and now? In order to listen, one of the basic foundation is that our minds are quiet. Is there a certain quietness now? Just being aware. We don't have to force ourselves to be quiet, but just being aware what is the state of mind now. If it is noisy, simply being aware of it. There is nothing wrong in discovering what is now. There is no need to judge it. If mind is noisy, chattering, maybe we have spent a day and there is a sense of rush. So can we allow our body, our minds, our hearts to really settle down, to calm down? Is there a sense of slowing down? Because listening can happen when the mind is quiet, when our whole being is quiet, is not in a rush. And in a dialogue, there is no a prefixed destination that we have to reach somewhere or arrive at a certain point. So can we let go of our sense of rushing now and listen? Can I invite myself to listen, not just from the place of thought or memory? When I'm listening only from my knowledge, then the listening is limited. So can I listen from a deep emptiness, from a deep quiet state of our being? When I am listening, is there any comparison happening? If any comparison is happening, if I am comparing with what I have heard earlier and what I am hearing now, then I can be aware that listening is being prevented. So now I can learn what prevents this listening. Comparison can prevent listening. So can I let go of that comparison? Just seeing that it is blocking the listening. If there is any motive in this listening, and the motive comes from our past conditioning. So can I be aware of it? That this motive can prevent my listening just by being aware of it. So is it possible to listen without any motive? Is it possible to listen without any judgment? So if any judgment is coming, can I be aware of it? So in this way, I can learn what is blocking the listening. So it is interesting that it's not that I have to create listening. The listening will flow by bringing attention to what is blocking it. So can we say in a deep sense, this capacity of listening is there, but it is hidden under all these layers. This layer of comparison, this habitual judgments, the motive. So can I listen with all my heart here and now? Which means, can I listen without any image? We can see that how image comes in the way of listening. When I'm listening to a friend, to my partner, to a colleague, to anyone, can I be aware that if I have an image, that image prevents listening? Because I have already made up my mind that that person is like that, and I can expect only this from that person. So in this way, I am confining my listening. So what does deep listening mean? Does it mean that in the moment of deep listening, I'm stepping out of the zone of my ego mind? Because self, as Krishnamurti has pointed out often, is made up of all these elements. The images, the past baggage, the reactivity from the past baggage, judgments, comparison, all that baggage is the ego. All the movements of the memories and thoughts. And when I'm really listening, isn't it, there is a stepping out of from that whole field of conditioning, which means my whole mind is quiet. In this listening, there is no interference of thought or the me. So when I'm listening, can I be aware if there is any separation brought about by thought? So it's simply paying attention to that, to see that how separation is preventing my listening. And separation is caused by images, by judgments, by motive. So can I listen deeply, profoundly, here and now? Which means stepping out of this whole field of the ego or the conditioning. And when I'm listening deeply from my whole being, from my whole heart, then there is no separation as me and you. And I feel then there is a beginning of deep togetherness. And in this deep togetherness, there is affection. Then I can listen. So deep listening is actually an act of this deep togetherness, or you can call it love. So without love, can listening happen? then I have to force myself. If there is no this deep interest, this deep affection, then my listening is very dry. It's mechanical. And when I'm listening from a space of silence, from the space of emptiness, there is no projection of the mind. I'm not projecting my ideas upon you. I'm not projecting any image. Then there is a freedom. So, in a deep sense, listening is also an act of freedom. So, am I free to listen now? Even to ask this question can invoke this energy of listening. Am I really free to listen here and now? Without answering it or whether I am free or not, just asking this question deeply. Am I really listening here and now? And in this deep moment of listening, my mind is free to observe, to look what is. So from this listening, looking can flow, observation can flow. So when I'm not listening, my sense of observation is also blocked. That's why listening and observation, they go together. Usually my mind is busy with what should be and what should not be. And this is the cause of inner noise. And when my psyche is clouded by this pressure, this baggage of should be and should not be, I'm not free. I'm not free to look, to observe as you are. I'm not free to look and observe as I am. That's why this freedom is necessary for listening and looking. And when the mind, when our whole being is quiet, that freedom is there. So listening and looking without any background, is it possible? Can I listen? Can I observe without any background? Can we ask this question without saying, oh, it is possible or not possible? I feel this is the power of the teachings. They enable us to ask impossible questions, seemingly impossible. But once we have some clarity, then we can dare to ask these fundamental questions. Because we realize that listening and observing from any background, because background consists of all our conditioning and past baggage, then what I will listen and what I will observe will be a projection of that baggage. So I won't be looking you as you are. I won't be looking myself as I am, but as defined by my baggage. Then there will be a separation. So there will be a fragmentation inside me and therefore fragmentation outside. And as long as there is fragmentation, there is no peace. And we see the state of the whole world, what is happening. It is a result of our inner fragmentation, the wars, the violence which we see outside. The roots are in our psyche. So if we can address this fragmentation by listening to it, by looking at it, then there is a possibility of deep inner peace. Then we can have this dialogue, a deep meditative self-inquiry with oneself and with the other. So friends, this deep listening is not just verbal listening. Though words are being used, but they are only indicators, they are pointers. So can I listen beyond the words? Not catch the words, but to see the energy which these words are carrying. The silence, the space between the words. Then words will not be all important. Sometimes, or many a times, that words create divisions. When we are literally listening. So is it possible to listen beyond the words? Is it possible to look beyond the words? That means connecting to that energy which is beyond the words, that silence, that emptiness. And one of the problems in our inquiry is that we are unfortunately using the tool of the words, the tool of thought and memory. That's why we have to be really careful, because we are using a limited instrument in order to explore if there is something beyond this limitation. So can we use this tool of thought and words with a sense of attention? Then we will not be caught in the words. We can explore beyond the words. So friends, I will pause here and let us have a few minutes of silence, and then we can enter into a meditative dialogue. And I would like to invite all of us as deep, compassionate friends just as a reminder that one of the challenges in a deep meditative dialogue is that can we watch ourselves while we are speaking? Can we listen to ourselves? From where I am coming, from where words are coming, just to pay attention to that. Because our intention is not just to share the knowledge about the teachings, but to really existentially live this energy, which is beyond conditioning, which is beyond words, then knowledge will not be predominant in our inquiry. It will have its right place. Then thought will not be predominant. It will have its right place. Words will have their right place. So rather than expressing our opinions, can we really inquire, not from the place of opinions, from knowledge, but from this place of spaciousness, inner spaciousness, from this place of silence. And let there be a lot of spaces in our inquiry. We don't have to fill it with words. So there may be natural pauses. So let us welcome those pauses. Don't feel uncomfortable if silence comes. So friends, so anyone is free. You are welcome to share and perhaps ask deeper questions rather than answering, but really asking existential fundamental questions. Thank you.
And I muted everyone, so just if you want to speak, just unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Mukesh. That is so when we kind of look at the world and on the problems in the interpersonal relationship, and then with all the knowledge that we acquire, everything we read, everything we conceptualize, it is also remote and not actionable. So what you are suggesting with the art of listening, all that kind of gets simplified and distilled to the quality of the mind at the current moment, which can be acted upon. So I find that insight to be very interesting. Everything else is not actionable, but whether you're listening in the way with all our being, with all our heart, without the conditioning, is something that is here and now, and that can be perhaps can be done. But that is at least it crystallizes into something that is actionable. And the problem is the same. The entire world problem is the same problem. It is now.
think what Prasad said, it brings to mind to me the question, what is attention? What is attention? In our daily life, I know yesterday I was in a shopping center and there was so much going on, so many people and noise and all kinds of things, but just to be aware that there's sort of like there's two ways of seeing it. One is sort of more panoramic, just overall, just being present to all the activity, and then being able to bring attention to the person that I was with, uh, and whatever was, certain things get your attention, but can be dismissed. When you see, oh, it's a loud noise, okay, it can be dismissed. So just really looking at what is attention.
Yeah. This is a very important point, that how listening is connected with attention, this quality of attention. So, is listening part of attention? So when I'm completely listening, when I'm fully present, isn't it when I'm fully present, then listening happens? And being fully present means being fully attentive. So this undivided presence, undivided attention, is that listening from that undivided presence. So what makes me listen profoundly is the same question: what makes me fully present here and now? Can we also connect to those moments? What are those moments when, without any effort, without any force, we are fully present, even for a minute?
I think these two states you described, or we are looking at, like the state of listening, of attention, and then the other state of the reactive mind, they seem almost like exclusive to each other. And if you ask what makes us like be in that state of deep listening, is maybe just for me, it's realizing that. I mean, just as long as I'm in this thinking state, in this state where I approach things with a motive, then the other is not possible, the state of deep listening. So I kind of like feel that I need to reject the state of thinking in order to enter the other space.
Yeah, similar to that is becoming aware of the lack of freedom. So when I become aware of how much the past and the baggage and the conditioning is affecting the quietness of the particular moment of listening, it's really kind of, you can become aware acutely that I'm not free most of the time in that listening. And yeah, how can I be when I'm so constrained? Constrained through that's a particular fragment of my existence, particular fragment, such a narrow light, or so to speak. I'm kind of just looking everything with a viewpoint, opinion. And perhaps we think because we maybe the deception is that that particular thing, we kind of get confused with the whole, and not, because that is where we live, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's very important to realize that that viewpoint is very, very, very kind of small. It's but it seems for us the world at the beginning. But then, as you said, it's this seeing, really. It's a seeing that this kind of is a small piece, maybe a little part only. It's not really, it's negating that, but it's not really negating. I think there's something, I mean, you called it awareness or attention. I find it difficult to use those words, but it is that, right? Something realizes what is going on, and you can it's more a seeing, it's more a looking, it's more a certain, I find it very difficult sometimes to use those words. What happens at those moments when it's easy to see it's not easy, but you can see your thinking, your little world, and that it is confined, but you can't say, I'm going to negate this now. Something else is coming into place with this seeing. And that's the beauty.
So can we say that this negation of what is preventing the deep listening, it happens. It's not that one decides to negate, but the negation of the field of, if I can say, conditioning, the pattern, the reactivity, it happens instantly without even any conscious effort or thought. So can we say that listening is the negation of if I can say, is the negation of the self, the me? Because till the me, the energy of me or ego is dominating, how can listening happen? Because then I am just listening from my motive, my reactivity, and that is not listening. And it is interesting that perhaps we cannot come to this state of listening through reasoning, through logic. Though mind will try to understand it, and it has its place. But that reasoning or logic is not sufficient because it is still within the field of intellect or the mind. But there is a moment, a quantum shift, when there is something that my whole being sees, observes the great beauty of listening, the great importance of listening. And it happens. Then there is no how, why. It just happens. We can all connect to those moments when we are in a state of deep love. Listening happens. There is no how to listen. When there is no separation, listening is happening. Or we can say, in other words, when listening is happening, there is no separation.
Actually, we are using words to inquire, and yet when we inquire, we receive answers from ourselves or somebody else, and then we get caught in trying to compare that answer with ourselves, and we are again trying to fill that gap in. We get caught into something special that we think is going to solve our problem because we don't listen. And yet there are times in a day we do listen, and there's a time when we don't. But by saying listening, we think, at least right now, that listening will solve my problem and the problem of the world. So we start with the words, and then we receive answers which are also word, we're back to the same place.
So it seems the mind is, caught up in its own complication of trying to solve, whether it be a personal problem or problem of our community or our world at large. That, there's something about seeing and attention that we've been looking at, when we can see that the mind in all of its complication is in this kind of this condition of becoming, right? Trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And the futility of it, we never get there, right? Just like you said, just this circles back around. And then just being able to be present to that complicated, dominating, automatic, reactivated, just like the tendencies of it. And then just this, then I would say then the question is what is simply being? What is it to simply be?
To have
To
no
be
problem,
simple.
right? To have no problem. To see that the mind is making a problem, and then to see that the mind is making the problem and it's pulling me into this problem which are not mine. And I get caught into it. My own personal problem, my wife's problem, my kid's problem, and so on and so on.
Really, what we're saying is that's not listening, right? So by not listening, there is listening happening. It's not an active listening act, right? So things are happening, then I have conflict with my mind, with my somebody else saying something. So I'm not listening. Is the I am not deliberately negating it. I'm just saying I'm not listening. I'm not free because there is effort I'm putting it now to listen and then try to understand and analyze and rationalize and all that. So obviously that state is not listening. By saying I'm not listening, I'm actually listening. So there is that negation, implied when you stay in that field. The key is to stay in that field, not move away.
So when I am aware that listening is not happening, that awareness is the beginning of listening. So can I listen to the state of non-listening?
Yeah.
And not force myself to listen, but just being very affectionately, gently aware of this fact. My mind is reacting, it's not listening. Just being in contact with this, what is the fact? So in that listening to not listening, already there is a different energy entering. And we were talking about problems. My question is, in listening, is there any problem in listening? Or all problems arise when mind is reacting from its past baggage, when it is not listening. Maybe other friends who have not spoken, please feel free. You're welcome to come forward.
Yeah, see, listening is happening, and the minute you try to put effort into listening, the you comes into it already. The reason you create problem is because you have taken what you're seeing or what you're listening as a problem. There is no living being that cannot listen. Listening is a natural response. It's there. When there's a thunderstorm or raining, you can hear it. You don't need to put any effort into it. So, but when you put effort into listening, you're now you're getting involved. Or at least you can say the mind is getting involved.
Yeah, I guess maybe this is something to explore. So when we say deep listening or listening as friends, as compassionate people, that means we all have the same frequency on, what the topic is going to be, or what. Like if I give an example of two friends hiking up hill, and they both have the interest of hiking up the hill, so they decided to walk up the hill, and they took the journey, and then through that hiking, they're just talking to each other and listening and enjoying the hike. That's the listening. So while that is happening, there is animals, sounds of other things are happening and all that, but they are together walking, hiking up, listening to each other, while everything else is also happening. So the frequency, they both have to be at that. Then they can, there is no conflict, there is no bias, there is no, hey, opinions here.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the foundation of self-inquiry or dialogue is togetherness. This natural sense of connectedness, basic affection, actually. We cannot even walk with a friend if there is no sense of connectedness. If we both are filled with our own agendas, then there is no walking together, no hiking together. There may be hurdles on the way. We can sort it out if there is a sense of togetherness, basic affection. Then what is the problem? Even if any problem comes, we can together work through it. So that's why there is a great, I feel this power of listening comes with this power of togetherness. One of the problems I see that we are trying to solve the problems of relationships, the problems of the world, without addressing the fundamental issue, and that is togetherness. It's like asking something impossible without introducing or without connecting to this aspect of love. We are trying to solve all the problems on this earth. And I feel it's not possible, including the environmental issues, climate issues. We are trying to solve it technologically and all that. But I feel we are missing the basic thing, that is the sense of togetherness. Now we can say how it will come. I don't know, but at least to recognize the fundamental problem is this absence of love, absence of togetherness. What will bring us together wherever we are? Will A religion will it bring us together, or certain ideology will bring us together? We have seen that it doesn't bring us together. Anything which is based on the past baggage or the conditioning or the ego mind, it doesn't bring us together. Temporarily, it will create some kind of excitement, but it fades away sooner or later. No organization can bring us together. We have seen it. Even in one family, the idea of family doesn't bring us together. There is so much fragmentation, even if there is a small family. So there is something really, we need to address that issue. To see it, to pay attention to it.
I'm not worried about, just to add, right? So I'm not worried about if I was made to sit in an algebra class or history class, and there is a lecture going on, and I'm not interested. I'm adding in the class. Obviously, we are not at the frequency. I'm not listening, and at the same time, I cannot relate. I cannot connect. So there's so much add. But here we're talking about, hey, that is a common. We all have suffering, sorrow, joy, jealousy, anger. Stuff that is common to all of us. That's where we all can listen. This is not something that I made force you to sit like an algebra class. Also, listening is not a process, or there are no steps.
Yeah.
Define it.
Yes. Maybe because we don't have not much time. So it will be nice if those people who have not spoken can also share. So please feel free. Ann, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I feel we can reconnect with who we are and who we were as a very little child, where we were so open and so interested in so many things, and everything was possible. It was beyond this form. Everything was possible. And I feel if just we have just for a second, we reconnect with that energy, which is completely formless, timeless, choiceless, effortless, then we reconnect with this energy that makes us listen, because it is listening. And from that, yes, we now, as we have grown up and we call ourselves mature, and we can question if the little child was not more mature than we are now. But we see it is doable. We see it is doable to listen, because it's our nature. So what do we care for? What do we really care for? It is perhaps the same as what we cared for as very little children. And then I feel everything is possible. As soon as we stop taking everything we have learned and all these concepts for granted, that we see that this taking for granted is the poison. It poisoned our possibilities, the infinite possibilities. So we simply have to question everything that we have been taking for granted from an open mind, from this childish, beautiful energy. It's very positive, I feel. It's a wonderful future we have.
Yeah, I think we take our conclusions, our knowledge a little too seriously. There has to be a softening of that solidity around those conclusions. Even when we ask questions, inquiry, if at the end we are actually adding to these conclusions, then that's a problem. There's just one more piece of knowledge as opposed to getting rid of all those pieces of knowledge that are distorting.
I'd like to,
Yeah, Phil.
I'd like to reflect that it's been wonderful that this group has been able to stay with one topic of listening. I've been in so many other groups where the topic just goes, from person to person, changes. And we can't stick with one topic to really try to unravel it. So I appreciate this group, the way it's been working together.
Larry, were you going to say something?
Yes, and what to add was what Prasad was saying about when we listen, we tend to justify what we're listening to, and then we're not listening because we've gone off the track. And so we're so easily distracted, and we justify being distracted. We don't, we come up with all these other kinds of fragmentations. And so we cherry pick what we are listening to, and we don't pay attention. But if you pay attention, that's another kind of justification. So it's just to stop all that somehow, and not doing it. And of course, I'm getting beyond the words to explain that. But we can't justify what we're listening to. We have to accept that.
There is some background noise is coming. So
I think it was coming from Larry's background, but I just muted it. I muted you, Larry.
So can you say, Donna, if you heard him, what did he say? Can you repeat it?
Oh, here, let me wait 1 second. Unmute yourself, Larry. For some reason, it's not unmuting.
Or you can unmute, perhaps.
No, I can't unmute him, but I can ask him to unmute. But I think, oh, there, maybe he's. Larry, you had a lot of background noise, Larry.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what.
I'm in a coffee shop full of about 100 people. So.
Oh, okay. It was hard to hear for some people. So maybe you could just Say it again.
Okay. It's just that we justify, when we listen, we tend to justify something that we're hearing and to compare it, and we cherry pick what we're hearing, and we stop hearing as a result. We stop listening because we get distracted by what we're listening to. And I was adding to what Prasad was saying about this sort of thing, that it's so easy to go off the rails and off track and not to listen, but to add in all this other stuff and not pay attention. But if you're paying attention, you're not listening either. And so that's you got to be careful about the use of these words, as well as falling into those traps when you are in that situation. When you go out and just listen and try to pay attention to people, you can't do those processes. You just have to let it happen. Does that make sense? Did you hear me? Yeah. Did that work? Sorry.
So is there any condition in listening? As you said, if I'm trying to justify myself, then again the self is dominating. If there is a resistance, resistance is another activity of the self that is dominating. If I have a motive, that motive is an activity of self. So can I simply be aware when the energy of the self or the ego is dominating? Simply be aware and not to even condemn it or judge it. Yeah, it is just having this, offering this soft, affectionate attention for presence, just being present to what is dominating now. Seeing it clearly, whatever is. Then I'm not forcing myself. I'm not putting any condition. I'm simply open. My heart, my mind, my senses are open to see, to listen. I'm not putting any condition. This should happen or that should happen.
So can we look at listening in the completely other way? So listening perhaps always is there. And this limited energy is not always there.
Yeah, when Mukesh was talking about together, that's what I was thinking. We're always together. If only we could recognize that thing that is causing the separateness, which is actually perhaps just that a negative energy of this limited scope from the limited experiences and knowledge. And when we are so imprisoned in our views, how far it can go, you can see that in a personal life, but also in politics, public discourse. I live in the US, as most of you are, and just the quality of the public discourse, where one fraction cannot simply see what the other is saying, and that is just uh, outcome of this, our inability to connect, and which is which is uh, which is in front of us, which is there all the time, which is not out there. It's just the extreme form when it manifests and all the negative consequences.
Yeah, it seems to me that we have lost the sensitivity to that connectedness, to that original being, right? If you look back to that, if you look back to your childhood, you just do things. You are not thinking, you are not aware of all these, what could happen. You're just doing it. You have that freedom, right? And it seems to be now, of course, you are grown up. You need to take in all the circumstances, but it seems we give too much focus on this thought process, and we, along that way, we lost the sensitivity to our original state, if you will.
Yeah, this is an important point. Yeah, why, like, we lose this state of wonder and innocence. So perhaps in this state of listening, there is this quality of wonder, which means the mind is not so heavily attached to the knowledge, to the ideas, to the answers or conclusions. So this state of wonder and innocence, I feel they are also an essential aspect of this state of listening. And we can observe in the, as Prasad, you said that in the public discourse, that hardly anybody is listening. We are all busy in proving my opinion, my point of view, because this self-interest is dominating. And there's no real, genuine togetherness. And in the absence of this genuine togetherness, we are trying to solve all the problems of our life, which is impossible. So perhaps listening is reconnecting with life, the life energy, which knows no boundaries, no categories, no identifications. It's like a river of life. The flow of listening is like flow of life, this life energy, which is all the time present, but we ignore it. We don't pay attention to it, this beautiful energy, which is a great gift, because nobody points it out. We are all so busy with big agendas that we miss the simple beauty of life, the simplicity. We want complex things, complicated structures. But the beauty just behind us is in its simplicity. Inside us. So friends, is it possible to really allow this energy of listening to flower in our daily life? Just by listening, by being present. And if I'm not present, being present to that. So there is no problem. I'm not making a problem out of listening or not listening. I'm just open. And if I'm not open, being aware of it, there is no openness at this moment. The mind is reacting. Just being aware of that. Then our inquiry, our dialogue with oneself and with the other has no limit. So friends, we have come to the end of today's session. And sometimes what is not said is also profound. To listen to that also, what is not being spoken, what was not spoken, the non-verbal. And so shall we sit a few minutes just quietly and then we end the session? Is that okay, Prasad?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
We are going to meet next Sunday, right?
Next Sunday, yes.
Yes.
So please, you are all most welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Mukesh.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank
See you all next week.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.